Hello,
Hello.
ladies and
Hey,
Good
gentlemen.
evening.
Good
good
evening,
evening,
ladies and gentlemen.
everyone.
Oh, na-miss namin kayo lahat.
Grabe yung countdown na.
Wow. And
Grabe
welcome
yung countdown
everyone
na
to
yan eh.
this edition of Practical Leadership Online. We've been
Mm.
it's been a while now since we ended season 1, no? Season 1, which is Life on Purpose. But before we get into
Mhm.
season 2, I'll allow my co-leaders to give a shout out and welcome to everybody. Guys, King, DJ.
Alright. So, hi
Alan,
everyone.
go ahead.
Welcome to Practical Leadership Online, our bi-monthly Tuesday meeting. So, shout out kay Weng. Okay. Hi Weng, our
Mm.
Suki, no? Our Suki viewer here at Practical Leadership.
Yes. Also
Good
si
evening.
Milver.
Oo,
Yan.
Milbur.
Oh, go ahead,
And
DJ. Go ahead. Go
Gilbert.
ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. Glad that we're here for a second season. Parang TV
Mm-mm.
series eh. Nakaka-cancel ba tayo? Parang tayo din naman nagde-decide. Pero thank you for our viewers na kahit papaano nandito, lalo na si Weng, laging nauuna, no? Na we reach people. I hope those who have stayed with us, really you have gotten something of value that you have used practically in your lives during this pandemic. Now, we learn from each other's experiences, and we also want to hear from you. So exciting itong second season natin because we're going to tackle something that is very common. It's a common experience amongst all of us going through this pandemic, di ba, Coach?
Mhm.
Yes, that's right. And so we last season, just a recap, just a quick recap. We talked about life on purpose, and we had 4 episodes last time. We had the purpose of living, which is to use our strengths and make sure that we give glory to God first and foremost.
Mhm.
But because God has created us unique, we said that we really need to use our talents, our gifts, and our abilities, because that's what God has gifted us with, and we use that for to benefit others. And then we talked about, see, episode 2 was, sige nga, tingnan natin kung natatandaan pa ninyo. Episode 2, yung mga co-leaders ko, alam nila yan. I hope. Weng, ano yung episode 2? Type mo nga para sa kapakanan ni na Milver at saka ni Gilbert na baka hindi nila natandaan. Episode 2 was, Weng, kailangan mag-type ka na mabilis kasi ilang minuto lang kami dito eh. Hindi tayo matapos.
Limited ang airtime.
Limited ang airtime.
Mahal
Okay.
mag-block time.
So episode 2, ladies and gentlemen, was the purpose of interdependence. How we work together and how we are created to live and work together with others and how to build each other up. And then episode 3 was purpose of faith. Yeah, purpose of faith, where we really practice our faith, di ba, Leejay, King? We really practice our faith every single day, whether we care to admit it or not.
Yes.
Inaano natin yan. It's just a part of us, di ba? In the decisions that you make. For example, diba, King, kung meron kang decision na kailangan mong gawin, whether simple or major, hindi ko alam kung nangyari yun sa inyo, King at saka Leejay, yung you make your decisions based on what you believe to be true, di ba? Or your values, di ba?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
anong nangyari ba sa inyo?
That happens.
Exactly. Oo.
Minsan
Importante
kasi,
yun eh.
lalo na if may time limit yung decision making mo, no? You can't spend all the time thinking and analyzing. I should know. May analytical ako eh. Ang daming oras na uubos nun, di ba? So, minsan, kahit hindi ka sigurado, you have to just calculate your risk and then base it on whatever you feel is right.
Yeah.
Like, part of leadership, making decisions.
That's true. At saka, your values and your faith becomes your parang moral compass.
Yeah.
Diba? Moral
Definitely.
compass to decide what's right or what's wrong. Kasi minsan, it sounds right in other people's eyes, but your faith is telling you mali eh. Hindi tama. Diba? And we thank God that we have faith that can help us decide on certain things. And finally, the last episode last season was the purpose of excellence. Why do we need to become excellent? Why do we need to do things na kailangan excellent tayo all throughout. Hindi lang pwedeng excellent tayo sa umpisa, tapos biglang all of a sudden, pagdating sa kalagitnaan o sa bandang huli, wala na, hindi na tayo excellent. We have to be excellent all throughout. And there we also learned that excellence is not in the big things, it's really more in the details. Because a little bit of excellence in many, many parts becomes excellent overall. No? So, si Milver, guys, just for your knowledge, no? Si Milver Padilla, who is now tuned in or watching, was one of the pioneers of our restaurant in Red.
Okay.
So, isa sa mga pioneers yan si Milver.
Alam namin yung lugar na yan.
Oo, naku, napaka saya ng we've spent how many Christmases there? 3, I think. No? We spent 3.
Hindi ba tayo naka-4?
4 Christmases, yeah. Christmas dinners there. So si Milver, siya yung isa sa mga nag-umpisa ng keg with us. No? Until, hindi na namin ma-afford. Sobrang mahal na kasi ni Milver. So lumipat na siya.
Okay.
Now he's with Draft in Greenbelt. That's the last place that I saw him. He's in Draft in Greenbelt. No? So maraming salamat Milver for tuning in, and we hope that this PLR Practical Leadership Online Season 2 will benefit everybody. So
Yes.
Oy, meron tayong kasama.
Si Gilbert. First time niya daw, Coach. Kilala mo ba si Gilbert?
Gilbert, Gilbert was with us in Capitayo last Wednesday.
Okay.
Yeah, he was there. But it's your first time, Gilbert, here on Practical Leadership Online. Well, thank you very much for joining and watching. We also have some more. Juan Tampihot, if we're mentioning this properly. Yeah. So, hello din to you. So, ano bang meron tayo ngayon, mga kapatid? What is Season 2? Ito si King kasi nagbigay ng title ng Season 2 eh. So, ano ba yung Season 2 natin, King? Ikaw itong may pakana ng title natin.
Actually, si Direk Iko yung merong may idea nito, no? But really, kasi di ba parang ngayong pandemic, a lot of us are stressed out already. A lot of us get tired and maybe even get sick, no? Over fatigue, dehydration. The other day lang, parang I got dehydrated and I was feeling so unwell. Okay, but ngayon okay naman ako. And kumbaga parang there's so many things that can bog us down, diba? And so many things that can stress us out. Kaya for this season, ngayong season 2 natin, we will talk about the importance of balancing stress and being well. Yeah, so for the next for the next 4 weeks, 4 weeks ba o 5 weeks? Yun yung pag-uusapan natin.
By the way, go ahead, Leejay, go ahead.
Dadagdag ko lang. Ako po yung model nun ngayon of not balancing stress and being well. I guess napasok na rin natin yung topic na yun, no? Because this season has created a lot of new situations and new paradigms in our lives. Some got out of work. Those who stayed in have now more work to do. A lot of people are trying new things as well. And together with change comes, kasi people are averse to change eh. So definitely may stress na pumapasok dyan. Just the working from home situation already puts stress. Kasi normally ang home, nakaprogram tayo magpahinga dito. Hindi naman tayo na-program para magtrabaho sa mga bahay natin eh. So the mere fact that you brought your work to your home actually adds a different aspect of stress. There's good stress and bad stress. So if we don't manage this well, people will actually get worn down. A couple of weeks or months ago, the government already had a parang nag-signal na to the churches, no, baka pwedeng tulungan daw ng churches ang government kasi yung mental health ng mga tao affected na. So I guess cabin fever is real, Coach. That
Yes.
people are really, starting to feel that the weariness just by staying at home. So
Absolutely, absolutely. Cabin fever is not just a nice term. Oh, it's actually not a nice term, but it's not just a term that we often hear about, but it's real. A lot of the things that we used to use as catchphrases like work-life integration and this cabin fever, people really didn't pay much attention to it until now, where it is so real that all of us are really looking into what is this thing called stress. And by the way, last Monday was 95 days, right? 95 days
yeah.
till Christmas. So today it's only 94 days till Christmas. So can you imagine tomorrow will be what, King? Tomorrow will be how many days till Christmas? Kung 94 days ngayon, ilang days bukas till
Kaya yan ang
Christmas?
math mo. Kaya yan.
Ano ba? -1, di ba? Saka I sent you, di ba, I sent you the link on how to calculate.
Oh, naku, na-stress yata si King sa,
Ako na sagot,
sa
93 days.
Parang trick
which,
question no?
which also, by the way, is a very stressful event. What used to be in 2019, 2018, what used to be a joyous event now is, it gets kind of stressful because it's already September. In a week, it's going to be October, and no one has gone shopping yet for gifts because people are afraid to go out. You know what I'm saying? So it's not something that we will take lightly. A lot of planning has to happen. A lot of things to consider now when you go to reunions, when you hold your Christmas parties in the office. And so that can really cause a lot of stress for us. Just this season is already becoming to be a stressful thing. I'd like to just shout out a few, like Gilbert has been, oh my gosh, Gilbert, you were a follower of Magbago Tayo. Wow, that's so nice to know, Gilbert. Well, it's glad to see you back here on Practical Leadership Online. And of course, in Kape Tayo, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 8:05 a.m. Plugging. Sabay-sabay na natin, di ba? Bukas yon. Bukas magkikita-kita na naman tayo. But that was a very nice show. We enjoyed our time in TV5 with Anthony Pangilinan, who was the original host of the show. I joined him every now and then. So Magbago Tayo is about the show on change. How do we change? What happens? It's all about current affairs as well. And of course, Neil Aldrin Ko is also here with us tonight. Good to hear and see you, Sir Ardy. Surely I will learn tonight. Yes, you will. Yes, we all will. All of us. This is for all of us. No? So, welcome. So, here we go. Ito, makikita niyo ulit bukas ng umaga. This is my Kape Tayo cup. So, magkakape muna ako.
Yung cup ko nasa baba.
Yo. Masaya. And, bakit N?
Nika.
Uy!
Nika, I'm using her workspace.
Wow, magkaiba ba kayo ng workspace? Ni Nika?
She works here upstairs. Then I work downstairs. So we only see each other pag lunch and dinner.
Grabe, no?
Parang office mates na kayo ngayon kasi isang lugar na lang eh. Kaysa dati talaga magkalayo, di ba?
So ngayon, same building kami.
Same building.
Same building, different rooms. Different department kasi.
Different department.
Coach and King, tanongin natin yung mga viewers natin, all 10,000 of them. What's causing you, all 10,000?
All 22,000.
Sa setup natin or sa setup nyo lately, what is causing you stress? Kasi iba-iba pag frontliner ka, you're there.
Exactly.
Wayne,
Yeah.
Gilbert, Neil, just put in there para alam natin paano natin i-apply yung ating
Mm-mm.
introduction to our second season. No? What has caused you stress? And pwede na rin kayo magbigay ng mga tips yun on how you balance that
Yes,
with your well-being. Kasi nga,
absolutely.
in other places, what we're doing is self-isolation. Torture na nga yun eh. Parusa to eh, sa
Mm-mm.
ibang lugar.
Mm-mm.
When you isolate yourself from society, this is basically what prison cells are for. That you're just inside. You can't. You lack certain freedom, and no wonder why people go go crazy, for lack of a better term. Sometimes because mentally mahirap po talaga. I mean, tama si Coach Ardy. Hindi natin minamalit yung sitwasyon na to by using those jargons sa cabin fever. Really for normal people, it's already hard to keep sane during these times. I can imagine those who actually have mental challenges and they're
Mhm.
put into this. I can only imagine how hard and how bad that can be, diba? So,
Mm-mm.
to
Mm-mm.
our
That's true.
viewers, ano nagpapahirap sa inyong what has caused you stress lately? Okay, share nyo naman
Yeah.
dito.
Yeah.
We
Yes,
can.
please do so. Oh, and I'd like to say hi also and good evening to Tay, Hugo, uh, favorite trainer in DB. DB is Deutsche Bank. So I did a lot of work for Deutsche Bank since 2007 until about
Mhm.
2018. So we had
Mm.
a very good run. We did a lot of time management. We did a lot of stress management, communication, just a whole bunch of programs. It was
Mm.
so enjoyable working with the people at DB because alam mo yun, yung very engaging. They're a very
Mm.
engaging group. So
Nice.
I wish that we could go back no to training face to face.
Mm.
Stress yung walang benta then hindi nakabayad ng client namin. Correct. But we understand because of the pandemic. Absolutely. Of course. Definitely. Also tell us what you do. If you want to. You tell us also what you do for work, and what is causing stress maybe at this point in time. And these episodes will be able to help everyone. So for those of you that have joined just tonight for with us, practical leadership online is like we have been meeting myself, King, Leejay, Tristan, and Iko, two other gentlemen who are not with us tonight. We have been meeting for I would say 5 to 6 years already. We would meet for breakfast when before the ECQ and before all of these things happened. We would meet for breakfast and we would come together. We would talk about very practical stuff. It started out with Strength Finder, and then we went on to taking up several books like the 17 Invaluable Laws of Growth. Parts of
Mhm.
that we talked about Maxwell. Then we went into 1 Minute Manager. So we decided, why do we go online? And because Ico Gonzalez is a director, he conceptualized this and placed us all online to share with you what we talk about when we meet now on Zoom. So this is going to be season two, and season two is as King said, the importance of ano ulit yun, King, the importance of
Balancing stress and being well.
Well,
yeah
Mm.
balancing stress and being well because nowadays, as we said, it's not just stressful, but a lot of incidences of mental health has been in the news. It's been
Mm.
reported, and depression now becomes real because
Yeah.
we've been locked in for how many months already? 6 months, I would say, no, 6 months. Diba? So that's the reason also why we decided to come up with this season is to help people cope with being well, not just physically, but most especially mentally. And so we're gonna go through 4 episodes, and the first episode will be next week. This is episode 0, basically, or episode 1,
Mm.
which will talk about stress. What is stress? Episode 2, we're gonna be talking about the spiritual awakening because in the pandemic, while we're all in quarantine, there has been a which is a good news. No? There has been a rise in awake. There's been an awakening spiritually, not just religion or being religious, but true spiritual awakening. People have been more prayerful. People have now gone into meditating. People have now gone into becoming more peaceful, because life has become too stressful for several months now. And then the next episode will be discipline of the mind. So how we can learn more, how we can incorporate the growth mindset, and then we're going to be talking about emotional quotient or EQ. And the last will be the discipline of the body to go the distance. Kasi kailangan health wise, may because of the pandemic, it's double edged. You have health and wealth. So we're going to be tackling the health side, hygiene. How do you eat properly? How do you make sure that you're always well? And in all these episodes, except for tonight, we will try our very best to get guests and subject matter experts to help us in the journey, to becoming well. Yeah.
Mhm.
So let's go. So we're going to be talking about stress tonight, and my co-leaders are going to be helping out in terms of the discussion, the conversation, and of course, as always, we would like all 22,000 of you to join in the conversation. No? Okay, may just type away if you have any questions. Type it there so that we can try to answer them. So we're gonna be talking about the stress balance. Bago nun, meron bang yan, shout out din please family kong nakikinig. Oh, hey! Hello, good evening to the Buena Vista family. There are
Oh.
Hello,
six of
hello.
you.
Buong
Wow.
pamilya. Buong
Buong
pamilya.
Oo.
Oo, dapat aware tayo na pang pamilya ang
Mm.
ating
Oh,
show.
nice
Mm-mm.
naman. That's so
Wow.
nice. Well, thanks. Thank you so much, Gilbert and the Buena Vista family for tuning in. Si Miss Wifey and the four kids. Sabi ni Neil. Ano sabi ni Neil, DJ?
Stress ang fact na it will be long bago magkaroon ulit ng training sa mga LGU and NGO clients. And I guess everyone is going online also for training. Pero iba kasi yung online, iba rin yung personal eh. I don't think online training will ever replace that personal coaching that you receive face-to-face with someone. And the importance of that, hopefully beyond online coaching, no? Huwag kayong mag-alala, Neil, Coach Ardy, and the rest. Even technically, King and I are like coaches. We're pastors, and we are, we preach the word of God. And we haven't also, we're in the same boat. We haven't seen our congregation face to face in 5 months and 6 months. So it makes us wonder, kamusta na sila? We're in, naka-touch base tayo with some of them. Pero may lumabas din kasing, data na people online is barely 20 to 30% of our population. So imagine mo, no matter how good we bring out online, that's just hitting 30%. What happens to the 70% of the people who are not used to going online actually to watch? Iba yung magte-text, magme-messenger ka, mag-FB. Iba kasi yung nanonood ka eh. Aminin natin, hindi pa rin ganun ka-available ang internet eh. So, I think, hopefully within the year, I'm hoping and praying that things will go back to 80% of how it was, maybe, before all started. I don't know. Let me know, guys, if I'm being too optimistic about things. But then again, open-minded tayo eh. So,
Yep. We need all the optimism at this point in time. We need all the optimism. We need all the positivity. We need all the good vibes, diba? As they say. Kasi, it's taken a toll really on a lot of people. I'd like to give a shout out to Janet Ganaban, or we know her as Jaja in the office. She joined Business Works many years back, and she was one of our team members who was she's an excellent woman. Being able to do operations for us in Business Works when we do training. So we're excited that you're here also, Ja. So tune in all 5 episodes, including tonight. We're going to be talking about stress management and the stress balance. And to start off, the stress balance is very, very simple to understand. When you talk about stress balance, it's a balance between two things. I'll just go right into the topic and you just jump in.
Sure.
Okay, so when you talk about stress balance, it's a balance between two things. It's a balance between your demands in life and your abilities. So there are three types of stress. Oh, well, actually, two types of stress. The first one, if you take a look at your demands and abilities, if your demand is equal to your ability, of course you have no stress. So when you take a look at your finances, for example, let's just use that as an example because all of us have budgets, we have bills to pay, but we're affected by the bill shocks that happen to us. So if you take a look at your finances, when you have demands like bills, payments, amortizations, grocery, tuition, what else? What else is included in your budget uh, as form of demands? Diba? First of all, you have your grocery, you have your rent. If you're still renting, you have your utilities, you have your amortizations. If you're paying for cars, if you're paying for your house or your condo unit, all of these are your demands. Okay. Now, if your ability, which is your income, equals the demand, then you have no stress. So, meaning you have all these payables and then you have exact the amount of money to pay for your obligations, then you have no stress. Wala kang stress. You can sleep well at night. Wag lang may mangyari.
Mm-hmm.
Wag lang may magkaroon ng emergency. You know? So, importante talaga, oo, magkakaroon ng imbalance yun pagka ganon. So,
Stress ulit.
stress ulit. So, importante nating malaman, pagka wala kang stress, whether you have stress or not, magdasal ka parati. Dahil, that if you have no stress, meaning you have all these obligations and you have the exact amount to be able to pay for the obligations, pray for health, pray that everything is going well, and, manage your life properly, just so that it doesn't tip over. Why? Because pag may nangyari at bumigat yung demand, for example, hindi nag-charge ang Meralco, di ba? Or ang one of our utilities hindi nag-charge for 3 months during the ECQ. And then all of a sudden, after the ECQ, so you were thinking na, okay lang, no stress, no stress. Everybody was enjoying aircon, AC. Kung may aircon ka sa, di ba, sa kwarto, nag-aircon ka kasi init nun nung mga panahon yun. March, April, May, di ba? So that's the height of summer, di ba? So, nag-aircon ka, and then all of a sudden, hindi mo na foresee kasi wala nagbabasa ng metro. Then all of a sudden, March, April, May comes, and then they charge. You remember how your electric bill looked like? Di ba? Yung bar, biglang all of a sudden, pagdating ng May, there was just a straight line which went beyond the chart. So now your demand is greater than your ability. So ngayon, may stress ka. Kasi while we're in the pandemic or while we're in ECQ, maaaring yung dati mong income na wala kang stress, nawala or umikli or kumonte yung income natin. Why? Because maybe they reshuffled people in the office and then they said, so since you're going to be doing this instead of this, so we're going to cut your salary so that we can save for the company. Or some, they actually lost their jobs. So the demand got bigger, the ability to pay got smaller. So there's now what you call distress. Yan yung negative. Now, remember before the pandemic, meron na tayong stress. We're stressed already. Now, the question is, and maybe my co-leaders here can help me out. What are the additional demands? Yan. What are the additional demands? Bago kasi nung nag-ECQ, may mga demand na tayo sa buhay, di ba? Ngayon, medyo nadagdagan siya Kung iisipin natin, nadagdagan siya And I'd like to ask also all our viewers, shout out to us or type out to us what are the additional demands that the ECQ or the pandemic has brought to us. For example, let me ask King. King, what is one or two other demands that are new to you at this point?
At this point, here at home,
Mm.
an additional demand for me is almost like 99% of the time, ako talaga yung bumibili ng everything.
Mhm.
Before, we split it na whoever's outside, basically, yun yung who does the errand. But now, uh, 99% of the time, I'm the one going out and buying it. And
Mhm.
that's, of course, on top of the workload, the work week that I have. And I'm sure our viewers will agree with me. When you are going out, actually, lumabas ka lang meron ng stress.
Oh,
Yes.
You don't know what you will catch. You don't know what will happen. Yung kumbaga parang there's a certain level of stress already just by going out, even if it's just like 2 hours, 3 hours of your day just to do an errand, diba? Especially when the pandemic or the lockdown started, going to the grocery, getting groceries took so much longer than how it would normally take, diba? And with the work naman, of course, alam ni Leejay yan, we all have more work to do right now because everything's online. All our services are online. And we have new responsibilities that we didn't have before. And of course, we reassigned tasks also because of shifts in our organization. So, mas marami kami lahat ginagawa ngayon kaysa dati. So, wala nang ano ngayon, walang 8 to 5 or 9 to 5 ngayon, di ba? It's really an extended day almost every day, especially when the pandemic or the lockdown started. So, madami talaga.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Grabe, no? And also, the reason being, si King, and I guess the heads of home, di ba? It's because of the quarantine pass.
Mm.
One
Yes.
quarantine pass
Oo,
per
one
family.
quarantine.
So, head of home lang talaga yung lalabas at
Mm.
saka mag-grocery, di ba? How about you, Leejay? What are some additional demands that the pandemic has caused or added on to you?
well, nung umpisa nung quarantine period and pandemic, no, it wasn't, I think, I don't know if this goes for everyone. I actually did have a hard time adjusting to it. My personality is more alive when I'm just by myself. I like being introspective. I like thinking by myself and then just giving you the answer or giving a work output like that. So nung umpisa, okay. Mas napapansin ko yung benefits kasi number one, nawala yung traffic. Um, Despite the quarantine, there were some weeks before a full quarantine was issued that we were actually still broadcasting from the center. And the mere fact that I could preach there without people and all that was actually fine with me because hindi ka nata-traffic, hindi na ubos yung energy mo greeting people, hi, hello, ganyan, and you just preach online. But eventually, we realized that because nawala na yung access ng tao doon, there were more preparations behind the scenes that we were not prepared for. I'm not so sure if everyone was so quick to adjust to being online. Take for example, si King, bigla naging tech person namin kasi kailangan maintindihan mo yung Zoom eh. Kailangan maintindihan mo paano mag-broadcast sa FB. So kahit pa paano, yan yung mga stress mo. Tama yung sinabi ni Tristan kanina, internet, nawawala. So all these new things that were not as important before, maybe internet was used more for Netflix, now is actually a very vital resource when it comes to your work. Kasi pag wala kang internet, hindi mo magagawa yung trabaho mo. And I guess another stress is because, yes, nawala nga yung traffic, your home, your availability online is actually, for me, another source of stress because you're so accessible now. If you don't really hold on to your lunch break or to your dinner time, even sleep, there's a tendency to overuse that accessibility to overwork yourself. So I guess yun yung mga binabantayan natin ngayon na you can take on a lot of multiple work and thinking na, hindi, okay lang, sa bahay naman eh. But you're fooling yourself. If you're bringing work to your bedroom, and nag-overtime ka rin doon. Kinabukasan may meeting ka pa, di ba? So those types of stress will build up eh. You don't feel it physically because it's all here. It's all kaya nga importante yung different episodes natin. We have to deal with the physical aspect of what stress does, the emotional aspect of that, the mental aspect, even the spiritual aspect. Because we can't go to church physically. So yung mga factors na yon maganda na tatamaan natin in the next few weeks. Kasi whether you like it or not, whether you admit it or not, lahat po tayo dyan affected one way or another. Some of us may have a good mental game, pero physical game naman yung mentally sharp ka nga, physically heavy ka naman. Doon ka tinamaan ng stress eh. Order ka ng yung ingay po, ulan lang yan. So, if you can hear it, it's raining hard here. So, the goal is to balance. And Coach Ardy, we're excited to hear how we need to really balance all those different things.
Yeah. Galing. Let's hear from Sam. Ay, galing. They've been messaging us. Ano sabi ni Rara? King? Sorry, Catherine. Catherine Rara.
Ni Teacher Erin. Sabi
Teacher
ni Erin,
right.
from Kids Church yan. So new demand, the work from home setup. Of course, lahat tayo nag-work from home ngayon. Lalo na for meetings, okay? I ended up using the laundry room for meetings and online classes or training. So maybe yun yung lugar sa condo nila, no, na tahimik, no? I'm guessing that's where least ingay from environment. Kasi 'di ba, ngayon ang kalaban mo ngayon sa online work minsan hindi lang internet pati yung mga aso, manok, yung
magtataho,
balot vendor.
Grabe everyone, no? Dami talaga.
But I think, at some point we really have to take into consideration that one because like for example, my room, I'm now in my room and my room is right beside the window of my room is right beside the street, which is, may guard the house doon. So daanan talaga ako, di ba? So yesterday I was having a meeting. There were jackhammers outside. They were nagpopoko. They were fixing something in the village was fixing something. So yung nakakaya sa kliyente mo, minsan you have to say, excuse me, but they're fixing something outside. Wala ka ng ibang lugar di ba? I mean,
correct.
Tama ko si Erin nga, laundry room na yung pinasok.
Oo.
Wow. Of course,
multitasking na yung kay Erin. Kasi habang nasa pwede na rin gawin yung laundry niya. Diba?
Pwede. Pwede na maglaba.
Pwede na maglaba. Yeah. Diba?
Kahit magbabad lang, no? Magbabad ng labada.
Oo. Correct. Kasi dati, pag nasa office ka, walang problema. Kasi of course, you have meeting rooms, you have conference rooms. Yeah. Now, I mean, the house is it. Or you have kids, diba, running around.
Yeah. Or even you can go to a coffee shop or your favorite restaurant na medyo tahimik. You can go to, diba?
Yeah. Ano pa sabi ng iba? Si Leejay, papasahin naman natin.
I can relate to Janet, Ganaban, yung sinabi ng stress in creating new processes at work and implementing immediately to adapt to pandemic changes. Dati, if loaded na yung workflow natin dati, hindi naman tumitigil yun kasi yung output the same. Kaya lang may mga bagong committees na na-form ngayon kasi yung safety na, di ba? Like, for us, it's a new committee for the re-entry. Kasi nga yung safety protocols, we have to be mindful that IATF is giving different kinds of protocols depending on the business that you are operating. So, yung mga apart from face shield, foot baths, alcohol dispensers, even yung ingress and egress ng mga tao, we need to be careful about because there is a certain anxiety already. Tama yung sinabi ni King na paglabas mo, gusto mo nga may social distancing. So, kontrolado mo yung time mo. Yung area ng aming what we do, we're a church. So, for the next 30 minutes, there's a group of people in one place. How do you make sure that all these people are safe? Those are just some of the few things, no? Totoo yun, yung stress sa health, safety, if you're required to go to work, may stress ka na sa trabaho mo, tapos iisipin mo pa yung safety mo. And then yung disruption that goes with it. Kasi when you start going back to your offices and then there's due to contact tracing, let's say may isa na nag-positive, tigil na naman yun. Shutdown na naman yung operations natin. So may disruption. Hindi tuloy-tuloy yung trabaho natin. And because of that disruption, it can actually cause additional stress, di ba? So, mahirap pero kaya. Kaya natin to.
Yeah. Yun nga, sabi nga ni Neil, ang stress din sa kanya yung additional budget for food supplements. Kasi yung mga sinasabi nilang vitamin D at saka vitamin C, we were talking about my brother-in-law who works with he's the head of the health and sanitation division of the local government here in Parañaque. And he was saying, many people say, vitamin D sa araw lang yan. But according to my sister, kasi doktor yung brother-in-law ko eh. Sabi, according to my sister, it's a different type of vitamin D pa, ganun. Hindi lang yung nakukuha sa araw. So it's a different type of vitamin D. That's why food supplements are now needed because you cannot get that kind of vitamin D, for example, just by exposing yourself to the sun. The good sun, no? You need that, or vitamin C. Hindi lang, isipin mo, ilang kalamansi kailangan mong inumin araw-araw para lang to get the right amount of vitamin C. Diba? That's why, you're right. I mean, it adds now to the budget. Yung dati, hindi naman tayo masyadong conscious sa ating supplements at sa mga vitamins. Ngayon, kailangan meron na. Just my wife alone, every time we have lunch, she's the one who comes out and says, "Oh, Javi, your vitamins, Brie, your vitamins." Everybody, she just starts putting vitamins to everyone. Why? Because you don't want to be immunocompromised. Kasi that will add more stress pagka gano'n naman. Diba? So, tama ka, Neil. Just the simple addition of food supplements. And they're not cheap. Food supplements are not cheap. They are already... They can make an impact to the budget already now. Kasi hindi lang naman D at saka C, yung iba rin, vitamin E, kukunin mo na rin yan, di ba? Lahat kunin mo na. Di ba? Ano pa sabi ng iba, King? Meron pa iba dyan eh. Yan.
Ito naman, it's actually, we touched on this already earlier, no? Demands on safety gears, increase on electricity bills due to work from home, and stress on COVID threats. Di ba? Parang before naman, you don't wear masks, you don't wear face shields. I remember I think early January or mid-January, we saw someone wearing a face shield. And parang nagtataka kami, ba't kaya naka-face shield to? Little did we know that after a few months, all of us would be required, di ba, to wear face shields. Crazy lang. And of course, most of those are disposable. So you have to buy and buy. But of course, right now, yung mga face shields, merong nabibili rin na acrylic. So those are, you can reuse those naman. No?
Yeah.
Ayan, from Melanie Rose.
Very timely topic. Thank you for this. Need to be tech savvy in the new normal to adapt to the changes. Stressful. That's true. That is so true. I mean, now, ito na lang, very simple mga kapatid at saka ang viewers natin. Dati, hindi naman sa pina-prioritize mo yung iba, di ba? So, kung titignan mo yung mga bills, di ba, meron tayong electricity bill, okay? Meron kang water bill, meron kang phone bill, yung internet, phone bill, cellphone. Tapos meron kang yung landline, yung fiber, di ba? Yung mga gano'n. Tapos meron ka pa, ano pa ba yung ibang bills? Cable. You have cable. Ngayon, biglang kumonti yung income mo kasi either na-displace yung trabaho mo or you're now given a new role or let's say your business isn't doing well. So your income is decreased. So ano nga yung pa-prioritize mo? Isipin mo talaga eh. Isipin mo, bukod sa, kailangan ko ng kuryente kasi kung wala akong kuryente, hindi ako makakatrabaho. Wala akong hindi ako magagamit yung laptop ko. Ano pa? Kailangan ko yung landline ko yung PLDT. Kasi kung hindi ko bayaran yon, hindi ako I can't work because everything now is online. Diba? And then your LTE. Yung mga ganon, all of these things are, you know, it's now a prioritization game when it comes to your bills. Diba?
Yeah.
With the limited resources now that's given to us or that's afforded to us at this point in time, you really have to have a lot of wisdom on how to, on how to budget. Kasi, if all these episodes go well, baka magkaroon tayo ng bonus episode. Alam mo yung bonus episode?
Ano yung
Financial wellness. Yan.
Ayun. That's good.
Financial health. Oh, yan.
Actually, yung adding to that, sa sinabi mo mga bills, Coach Ardy, I remember kasi not everyone actually has internet at home. They some just rely on the data they have on their phones, and parang to get by lang kasi meron namang internet sa office which bulk of the work yun doon naman ginagawa, and kumbaga parang usually the phone data is just enough for email, text, Facebook, or a little bit of working on the phone, 'di ba? Video call from time to time. Pero ngayon kasi if you only have data on your phone, sometimes it's so unreliable, 'di ba? Parang kailangan mo talaga marami kang backup, 'di ba? Kung dati ang backup mo sa phone is another phone, ngayon kailangan talaga may hardwire ka na internet na will be able to, that will allow you to have that video call uninterrupted, or that meeting uninterrupted, or class, 'di ba, ngayon for those who are studying. 'Di ba? Kung dati ayaw mong yung mga anak mo laging babad sa internet, so you save data, but now you have no choice because even school is now online.
Correct. Oo. Grabe, no?
Coach and King, naisip ko lang, no, I think if you're a business owner, it's what we're talking about is something that is very important to them. Kasi kung tayo nga na pag-uusapan natin yung budget natin, imagine nyo yung effect nito sa mga business establishments. Kasi with tighter budget, let's say for example in Makati, where King and I go to work, going to Starbucks is part of your day. Before, okay, you either have meetings there or your coffee break, and you had the budget for that. Now with more necessities popping up, apart from naging part na ng budget natin yung mask and face shield, which is a requirement, di ba? Ilan na lang yung makakaisipan na pumunta ng Starbucks, considering na number one, ayaw mo mahawa, pupunta ka doon. Ilan lang naman may drive-thru. But more importantly, for business entities, how important is your product? I mean, if you only listen to our conversation here and the text that we see, makikita mo saan papunta where we're headed in terms of where people will spend their money. And if we don't redirect to that place and you're left behind thinking that, pag nawala na yung COVID, baka bumalik din yung sales ko. There's a high probability na hindi na babalik yung habit na yun Kasi na-break I think 3 to 6 months, and if you're selling a product or you have a business, it's good to be watching this because you realize that whatever habits were formed in the past 6 months will stay a little bit longer. If people were not eating in buffets, if people were not buying coffee and watching a movie, in fact, even with Netflix, sobrang laking aspect yun, no? Malls have invested so much money in putting up a movie house. Ako na lang, dito na lang siguro, how many of us will go back inside the movie house after this? Honestly, I don't think it's safe. You don't know who sat on that chair, di ba? Tapos, so this is very important, discussing this and hearing from the people watching us, because the changes and the things that we go through will actually mold what 2021 will be for us. Ngayon pa lang, kung inaasahan natin na hindi, pag nawala yung COVID, babalik naman yan sa dati. Sa mga realizations natin, pwede hong hindi na bumalik sa dati. And we just have to move forward with things. Like what we discussed dun sa kapihan, Katie, no? Na we need to just decide to live with the virus right now for the meantime, habang walang vaccine. We can't put our lives on hold, so to speak. So Thank you. I want to hear from our viewers pa rin, ano yung mga pinagdadaanan
Yeah,
niya.
absolutely.
This will
Absolutely.
mold. This will mold how we live in the next 3 to 6 months, even leading up
Yeah.
to next year.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're a business owner, it's important for us to understand that if you belong to a non-essential industry, like my business is a non-essential. I'm a bar, um, so I have two. I have a restaurant in Alabang, which sadly we had to close down. But I have another one. I have a bar in BGC, which is called Keg, and that's a non-essential. I mean, people will not they will party at home. You know what I mean? People will party at home. People will much rather stay home, stay Zoom na lang, then have wine with their friends on Zoom. However, if you're a business, you have to find out how you can turn your non-essential industry or non-essential business into an essential. Typical example or a common example is San Miguel. Ginebra San Miguel, who used to produce gin, turned that whole facility into alcohol making, rubbing alcohol. 70% isopropyl alcohol because they had the facility, they had the machines, they knew how to make alcoholic drinks. So they turned it around and made it an essential. So they are now producing alcohol. So it's a new business. And I think for us, for example, because we're keg, we're a bar, we open at 5 p.m. and close at 5 a.m. We have had to re-engineer everything in our business to serve now lunch, food. We've had to open up the food side of our business. So we're now not just a bar, we're a restaurant and a bar. So because you want to get into the essential, you want to go into the takeout and delivery, though we're late. Pero kailangan yun. Kasi yun na yung demand eh. Nakikita na natin yung demand, yung trend nung mga tao that they'd much rather eat at home, celebrate birthdays at home. Di ba? Eat at home, celebrate birthdays at home, have fun at home, party at home. So, kami, we re-engineered. We will bring the party to your home. We'll serve you good food. We'll serve you good drinks. We'll make sure that, you have the experience at home. Diba? Importante yun eh. Kasi yun na yung demand. Yun na yung nagsasabing, eto na. Which if you don't change, will cause you stress. Yeah. If you don't change, it will just cause you stress. This afternoon, we had an orientation for all our staff at KEG because we're opening already by this weekend. We're opening already. And sabi namin, it's not going to be the same. Don't think that you're going to go back to the work that you used to do. No. Kung dati server ka, maaaring ngayon, nandun ka na sa kusina, naglilitsyon ka na, or nagpe-prepare ka na ng pagkain. Ganon eh. We have to eh. We have to change. Otherwise, we will be left behind. And you won't have jobs. Pero lahat sila, talagang, sir, naka-face shield kami. Naka-face shield kami pag nag-serve. Yes. Naka-mask, naka-face shield. Oh, yes. Hindi lang yun, naka-gloves ka pa. Ganon, sir. Sabi ko, yes. Because we're a very delicate industry. F&B tayo. Yung sinaserve natin, pinapasok nila sa katawan nila. Kinakain nila. So our standards of safety have to be really above everyone else. So importante yun. Shoutout muna tayo. Meron mga bagong sumali. Sina Luigi Lozande. Hello, Luigi. Hello to you. Thanks for joining us. So we go back. The stress balance, diba? Balance between demands and abilities. If your demands equals your ability, there is no stress. If your demand is greater than your ability, now you have what you call distress, which is negative, because it will have a negative impact on you, on your life, and in everything that you deal with. So yan ang tinatawag na distress. Okay, what's the third type of stress? So you have no stress, calm, okay, you're healthy, you're well. You have distress when your demand is greater than your ability. May pangatlong klaseng stress, mga kapatid. Ito naman, yung pagka sobrang dami ng ability mo, wala ka namang kademand-demand sa buhay. Sorry, you have, when your ability is greater, okay, when your ability is just greater than your demand, meaning, balik na sa finance, nag-charge si Meralco after 3 months, nag-charge siya ng 3 months worth. So nag-shoot up yung electric bill mo. Yung dating 4,000 mo, ngayon 40,000 na. Oh,
Wow.
oh my gosh, ano nangyari? Diba? Pero kung marami ka naman pera, meron kang ability, you have a lot of money, and even if you pay off all the bills that have been bill shocked, you still have money. You have what you call, this is the third type of stress, you have what you call EU stress. EU stress. It's one word. EUSTRESS. EU stress. That's what you call positive stress. Yeah. Positive stress. So which is where you want to be. Which is where you want to be. All because the demands naman will not get any lighter. Yung pinagkikwentahan natin to, di ba? 6 months ago, tingnan lang natin ang buhay natin 6 months ago compared to today, our demands were not lighter today compared to 6 months ago. It was heavier. It's gotten heavier now. Tama? What about 6 months from now? 6 months from now, by the time March hits, oh wow, it's gonna be even heavier. Mas mabigat pa yan. So, kung titignan natin, there's really nothing that you can do with your demand. Actually, sabi nila, there are 2 things that you can do with your demand. Number 1 is delegation. You can help delegate the work. Diba? Delegate mo. Ito, gawin mo. Ito, gawin mo. Before, in my restaurant, I used to do everything on my own. I used to do everything. Talagang medyo mahirap if you carry the load by yourself. But now, my wife is in charge of the wines and all the online distribution of that. My eldest daughter is in charge of the bringing all the online cocktails, and then my brother-in-law is now in charge of the store, the physical brick and mortar, together with the food. So delegate, because we were able to delegate. I was able to delegate the owners into doing the different work, and even my team, we delegated already. O ikaw sa kusina, ikaw sa front of the house, ikaw ngayon yung safety officer. Dati server ka lang, ngayon safety officer ka na. Dati taguhugas ka lang ng plato, taguhugas ka lang ng baso, ngayon kasama na sa kusina. Ikaw na yung taga-prepare ng mga ingredients. So because everything was delegated, the load got a little lighter. You following? So delegation is 1. Yeah, to make your load lighter. The other one, if you have no one to delegate, the other way to lighten your demand, resignation. You talagang resign. In other words, pagka negosyo yan, close shop. Kung hindi mo na talaga kaya, there's no use. Just pursuing it all for the sake of kasi ayaw mong bitiwan. Hindi. There is a time where you will have to cut losses. There is a time where you will have to call it quits. Resignation. Those are, of course, extreme cases na yon, right? Extreme cases that you will be resigned to the fact that I have to close my shop, or you're resigned to the fact that I have to be retrenched, or I have to be retired early, or I have to be take a leave, a longer leave. There are some points where you will have to be resigned to the fact na ganun. Mm-hmm. However, given those 2, kung hindi naman mangyari yung dalawang yon, there is really nothing that you can do with your demands. It will get heavier and heavier and heavier. So if you cannot work on one side of the balance, you will have to work on the other side, which is your abilities. Yeah. Which is your abilities. Yeah. Work on your coping ability to balance it out, diba? Which will now be the 4 episodes following this initial episode of Practical Leadership Online. But before we go, or before, we'd like to hear a lot more from you. Oh my gosh, Lex Reyes! Wow, So proud of you. Thanks for sharing all your brilliant leadership ideas. Thank you so much, Lex. We should catch up after. Oh, of course, absolutely. We will catch up. I will bring the cuento. You just bring yourself. I'll take care of you. Come over to Keg or Lex when all of this is over. You know, uh, we'd like to know, how do you deal with stress?
Mhm.
What do you do? That's a nice question to ask everybody, including me. There are many times I have to think, how do I overcome stress, or how do I deal with it? Do you play with your little girl like this? Do you play with a girl like this? Huh? Hmm? Do you play with the little girl like that? Your kids? What do you do? What do you do to overcome stress? Let's start off with Leejay. Ikaw, Leejay, maano ka eh. It seems that you were able to deal with stress. You're able to deal with stress well.
Well, dalawa yung options ko. Yung una, syempre yung kumain. Yun yung natural response natin to stress. Mag-stress eating. Pero when the pandemic started, there came an awareness to me, especially after my dad passed away last April. And it was due to illnesses that were brought about by his lifestyle. It wasn't because of the pandemic. He had problems with his heart, cholesterol, even with his lungs because of smoking and all that. So yung awareness doon was I needed to be healthy to ward off this, not just because of the pandemic, pero mas long-term yung tingin ko eh. Kasi medyo bata yung dad ko when he passed away. He was in his 60s. I am in my 40s. So, alam mo yun, parang nagkaroon ng awareness na you can actually be healthier now because we're not eating as much fast food. And you actually control more of your time. Siguro, ano lang yan, teaser lang yan. We'll go into more specifics dun sa health. That's one of the topics in the weeks that we'll have. But one of the habits and disciplines that was formed was walking. Something very simple and accessible. Pwede naman siya ngayon. So in between meetings, because I'm stuck to this video for hours, if I have an hour in between, I'll take a walk for 1 hour. And that has actually made me less, it has actually made my energy better. I don't feel drowsy after eat. Kasi pag kumain ka, tapos nakaupo ka lang kagad the whole day because of meetings, yung carbs, bibigat at bibigat talaga yung pakiramdam mo eh. Eh ngayon, ang hirap. Kung dati, pag may sipon ka ng konti, okay lang, music ka lang. Ngayon kasi pag may sipon ka, teka, ano na ba to? Signs na ba to ng COVID? Di ba nakakapraning, nagka-migraine ka. Dati, pop-up pill ka lang eh. Ngayon, teka, signs ata to eh. Umakyat ka na hagdanan dahil kulang ka sa exercise. Hirap ka na huminga, di ba? Ngayon parang, teka lang, COVID na ba to o taba lang? So, you have to decide to be healthy. How you cope with stress can go either way. You can either fall into a bad health lifestyle, or you can actually choose to have a healthier lifestyle because of it. So it's really up to us.
Yeah, good. Wow. And that's so true for many, yung stress eating. Marami, ganyan. That's how they deal with stress, no? Stress eating. How about you, King? Before we go to our friends and their comments, how do you deal with stress, King?
For me, ang pinakamadali talaga, just like Pastor Leejay, you just grab something and eat it, from the ref or the pantry or whatever, para lang to reduce some stress. But in this pandemic, marami na rin tayong na-try. I tried baking. Okay, so on my free day, I tried to bake something new. I bake cookies, bread, cinnamon rolls, and kung ano-ano pa, a cheesecake. I tried pa yung mga fad ngayon, burnt bass cheesecake. I did that. The sushi bake or the salmon or canny bake, I did it as well. Actually, madali lang gawin yung dalawa na yun. But really, it helped me. Then, ngayon, someone actually gave me some seeds to plant. So ngayon, siguro mag 4 weeks na, about to na mag 1 month. I have Carolina Reaper seeds. So, yun yung hottest chili in the world.
Oh,
The
wow,
hottest pepper in the world.
nice.
So,
Yeah,
kung mahilig kayo sa manghang, I can give you some if tumubo siya into a full-blown plant. Ano? That is a big if. So, and actually, nung start ng pandemic, my wife, Nika, was the one trying out being a plantita, gardening. But now, because of that chili seeds, ako na yung nag-aalaga dun sa mga plants namin. And just actually in this pandemic also, di ba? A lot of us nanonood tayo Netflix, a lot of us distressed there. Tinry ko na rin yun. I do that from time to time. Or actually, yun yung pinakamadalas. And then, just recently naman, biking. Okay, so I now have a Saturday and a Monday group to bike with. It's not a big group. Parang dalawa lang kami, tatlo. And of course, we practice social distancing. But it's really ikot lang and then pag napagod, uwi. I mean, there's no like, we don't parang, ano na, like hang out na, kumain, whatever. Just really to distress and then go home.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah,
So
those are
King,
some
you're
of the
like
things that
ano,
we do.
yeah, you're like Weng. Kasi si Weng, sabi ni Weng, I divert to something like cooking.
Yes, si Weng, masarap magluto yan.
Yeah. So, alam mo yun, yung sometimes you just divert to passion, di ba? What's your passion? Some it's cooking, some it's baking, some it's actually fixing. Yung organizing your closet, organizing.
Yeah.
Yung, di ba? Yung maybe the drawer that you every time you open the drawer, it's just all the t-shirts are there. Tapos napanood mo si Marie Kondo, mag-Marie Kondo ka.
Inayos mo na. Oo.
Inayos mo na, di ba? So, or some it's being a handyman. You know, looking around the house, fixing a doorknob or fixing this or fixing that. Yung gripo na parating nagli-leak. Inaayos na. Some it's just putting your records in or yung laptop. Yung inaayos mo lang lahat ng folder, you put everything in a folder. So there are many ways to distress it. Let's hear from some. No? Si Neil, sabi ni Neil, damo ko fierce. Ilonggo si Neil. Damo ko fierce. Oh, sir, but every time I look at my palangga, Ilonggo nga talaga. 5-year-old child, tumatapang ako. Ayan. It has been my prayer that God will be our buckler and shield. Doon ako kumakapit. Yes. Oh, absolutely. Nako. That's true. And you know what? Kids really have a way of removing stress. And I don't just mean the smaller ones. I mean, just even the bigger ones. I have a 27-year-old all the way down to a 7-year-old. And, you know, just talking with them over dinner, finding out what they're going through, etc., etc. Minsan nakakalimutan mo yung problema mo eh. Nakakalimutan mo yung stress mo eh. Di ba? Kasi, you know, you're now able to have good conversation with older kids. And then, of course, the younger kids are more makulit and all. So, they kind of put a smile in your face. Nakakatawa silang tignan. Diba? Ano sabi ni Juan? Leejay.
Ano yan? Nakalagay dito, coping stress by praying, talking to friends, exercise, and playing with my dogs. Actually, these two things combined. One is done by yourself, between you and God, praying in your closet. And then the other one is the opposite naman, interacting with other people. I think if you want to balance managing stress, there are times you need to keep to yourself, be introspective, and just pray to God, hear from God. Cry out to God your frustrations. I mean, if there's one person in the world who can actually receive that frustration and do something about it, certainly that's God. Pero we can't just isolate ourselves with God. Another way is tama yung combination ni Juan and ni Erin, no? Yung how I deal with stress. I scream, worship music, crying to God, and talking to other people and praying. I think the Bible says those who refresh others will they themselves be refreshed. And it's not just a saying. I think it's very true. More so now than before. Kasi nga, nakakapagod minsan yung madami kang kausap, ang dami mong miniministeran, piniprayan. Pero afterwards, I've never spoken to myself. I never told myself na, grabe, sana hindi mo na lang ginawa yun kasi mas napagod ka. Yes, physically you're tired, but there's a certain fulfillment that you get. and there's a certain refreshing that happens when you interact with people, whether online or dati nga simple text lang, ngayon pwede na kayo mag-video eh. Kaya isa lang napansin ko, Coach and King, no, kung dati, and this is good, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, kung dati, you needed to set an appointment with someone to get a hold of them, parang ngayon yung barriers to that, dahil nga, number one, medyo nakikita tayo siguro online, or mas madaming meetups, I have a feeling that those who have managed to switch over to being socially connected online have better relationships now. Meaning, dun sa mga nakapag-connect with other people via online, despite the pandemic, have actually, because they're more updated. We hear of stories na yung matagal na hindi natutuloy yung reunion, ngayon nakita-kita. Tayo na lang, yung coaching natin dati, pahirapan minsan sa schedule natin. Ngayon, di tayo na kontento ng meeting once a week. Minsan, 4 times a week tayo nagkikita, di ba? Just because kaya. So, I think, there is something here that we can actually maximize, di ba? So, yung mga, isa sa topic natin, yung mga LDR, yung mga long-distance relationships, may mga pag-ibig na namuo during this pandemic and quarantine lockdown. So, meron tayong viewer, pwede natin i-guess yan. Kasi siya ay naka-experience niyan during these times.
LDR.
Pandemic. Love in the time of pandemic.
Oo. Di ba, King? Baka may
Love in crisis.
Love in crisis.
Love wins talaga. Love prevails.
Love wins. That's right. But, all of what you guys are saying is so true. While it has become stressful for many, it also has had the opportunities to bring people closer together, families closer together. And everybody can at least say one testimony or can testify to the fact that a friend from long time ago, hindi mo nakita, now you're almost always talking to each other, or family. During the pandemic, before the pandemic, my dad lives in Green Hills. He's old already, so we would try to make it to lunch with him every Sunday. And okay na siguro yung mga once a month kami makapunta dun sa kanya to visit, to take him out to lunch. Him and my mom take them out to lunch and have a good time with my siblings. But now it's regular. Every Sunday at 7 p.m. wala nang tawagan yan. Just log on and we will all be there. Yung ganon, and you're always you're in touch, you're connected, so what was originally before, or what was normally before, something like, oh my gosh, now it's become normal that you're connected, which is a good thing. It's a good thing. And sabi nga, di ba, what the devil intended for bad, God has turned out for the good, di ba? So parating may magandang opportunity na nangyayari in times of crisis. If we're just conscious about it, now we're more health conscious. Leejay has lost weight, while King and I have gained weight.
Yan yung balance. May konting nawala sa akin, may nadagdag sa inyo. So, balance lang.
Balance lang. You know what I mean? So, ang ganda Ang ganda nung sabi rin ni Noel, to deal with stress, take online classes and study. Absolutely. Di ba? Sharpen the saw. Sabi nga ni Stephen Covey, sharpen the saw, sharpen the axe. So, importante lang natin malaman na every time we're stressed, every time we're realizing the demands are getting heavier and heavier and heavier, you look at the other side of the balance and say, if these are my demands now, how can I take a look at my coping abilities? Oh, by the way, be very careful about dessert like ice cream, cake, yung mga ganon. Sabi ni Erin, di ba? How I deal with stress? Ice cream. Kasi desserts spelled backwards is stressed. Desserts spelled backwards is stress.
Oo nga,
So,
no?
why? Oh, kasi habang stress eating, lalo na pag marami kang kanin na kinakain, all of that is converted to sugar. Ice cream, what's 1 cup? And then you're not content. You take another cup of ice cream or another cone or cake or whatever. Or soda or iced tea or all those stuff. Diba? All of that is sugar that's being pumped into your system. And because you're stressed, you're not active. You're dormant. So it eventually turns to fat. It affects your insulin production. It affects everything. So just be very careful. The best guys pray. Pray for all the demands na, Lord, take my yoke, di ba? Or take my burden because your yoke, ano ba sabi? Your yoke is,
Easy and the burden is light.
yes. So, imbis na sinusubukan nating gawin sa sarili nating strength, let's give it to God. Kasi si Lord, kayang-kaya niya yan. Diba? Hindi natin kaya, si Lord, ano problema, kayang-kaya niya. Interesting, ano? Sabi ni Les, so mention dito, yes, connect with family and friends, but even better, connect with God in prayer. Yes, absolutely. Yan, sabi niya, through the study of His Word and the lifestyle of worship, in Him we can find rest, perfect rest. And as I always say, rest peacefully, do not rest in peace.
Amen.
Rest peacefully, do not rest in peace.
Mga kapatid.
So si Leejay mukhang inaantok na.
Kailangan ko
Mukhang
na
inaantok na si Leejay. Kailangan niya mag-rest.
Oo.
But you know,
Kailangan ko mag-dessert.
pakita mag-dessert. Yeah. You know, it's very important lang for us to understand ourselves, understand the way we behave, the way we react when it comes to stress. And this is just the first episode. There's gonna be 4 more episodes which will go into detail about how we can really cope with stress. But in this initial episode, I think the key is really to understand ourselves and how we respond, not react, but how do we respond when the demands of life get heavier and heavier and heavier. Because when the demands of life get heavier and heavier and heavier, we have to know how do we respond with our coping abilities, which is the other side of the balance. And that all those things we'll be talking about in the next 4 episodes after this, plus a bonus episode of financial wellness, because that's also a big source of stress today for many. So, parting words, my co-leaders in Practical Leadership Online before we finally say goodbye and good night. I'll give this first to King.
And all right, so thank you so much again, guys, for watching our Practical Leadership Online. And I hope that you can be with us as we talk about how to balance stress and being well. Okay, so for the next 4 weeks, we'll talk about it, and may bonus pa. Okay, yung about financial wellness, di ba? Well, it depends on how our how our series will go, but I'm looking forward to it already. So, and looking forward to having you guys with us during the next few weeks. So again, don't be ang ganda lang nung ang ganda lang nung mga natutunan natin today. And one thing that my take home for tonight, and I want to echo para sa inyo, is that every time we realize that the demands are getting heavier, look at your coping abilities and work on it. And I like that, yes, diba, resignation is another way to lighten your load. Delegation is a way to lighten your load. but asking God also to have broader shoulders is one way to work on your ability to cope against the heavier demand. So yun lang, do not give up. Okay, so
For me, Coach, really, I think this is a topic that I'm looking forward to in a sense na, yeah, it doesn't just affect me, but all of us right now. This is one thing that we need to cope up with. And if there's one thing that I've learned, apart from what we actually shared, was it's so easier coping with this together rather than coping with this by yourself. In fact, just seeing how, we want to welcome those who first time ngayon lang ulit nanood after watching you or being coached by you in the past, and learning together. I think this is one way that is helpful not only for me but for all of us, that we get through this together. Kasi if you try to do this just by yourself, get through the pandemic by yourself, there's a huge chance you're gonna burn out by yourself because there's nobody else there. Sinubukan mong gawin by yourself eh. So, but with all of this, with Weng, Noel, Lex, Erin, even my mom is watching, and all of us together, just sharing what we're going through life, especially during this kind of season in our lives, together, with more of this sharing, I think we're gonna bear it out. We're gonna thrive amidst the challenges that we're experiencing. Stress will be there. It's not like we're gonna tell you how to avoid it or how to not have it. What we're gonna be talking about is how to have stress and yet prevail against it, even while you're experiencing it. So that's what I'm looking forward to, Coach, in the next few weeks.
Yep. All right. Well, guys, and everybody else watching, stress is good because that only means that we are alive and we want something more and we're growing. Because science has found a term for people who don't go through stressful situations. The term is dead. For as long as we're alive and as long as we're growing, as long as we're wanting to get, to provide more for our family, to provide more for our coworkers, provide more for our employees, to help out, to add value, stress will always be there. And it's really a sign for us that, we're progressing in life. So welcome it, know your response, and allow us in practical leadership to help you go through the different stressful situations in life. Beginning next meeting or next episode, where we will talk about the spiritual awakening. So stay tuned, no, on Practical Leadership Online, our Facebook page, because we're going to be announcing there the time and the day for episode 2, 3, 4, 5, and the next season. So let me also take this time to invite you all. If you're up early every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 8:05 a.m., we have another show called Kapitayo, where we talk about some headliners, and then we talk about pop culture or trending topics, and basically to help people through the weekdays. So let me invite you all to Kapitayo, and in behalf of my co-leaders King, Leejay, Direct Iko, and Tristan, who will join us in our next episodes. We want to thank you all for tuning in, getting engaged, giving us your comments. We love reading all your comments. We love the engagement. Invite your friends, invite your family next time. Thank you so much for watching Practical Leadership Online here at 8 o'clock p.m. every other week. Yeah, every other week. So for now, we want to say thank you so much and good night. Rest well. Okay, rest peacefully, not rest in peace. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
God bless. Good night.